Hi guys. There's been a few updates to the Nano engine now. It's a working graphics engine. So there's been a lot of changes. You can see I've refactored it a lot to make it more readable. There's a couple of examples now, so I'll show this one in a second. Okay, so let me just run it to show you. So you can see now we can do text boxes as well and text. Um, and you can see the frame rate information up here. This is because it's in debug mode right here. That's now a mode that you can do as well. Um, and this renders it based off fixed layers. Now the layer manager is like one of the main things that's different. First, let me. So if I go to state layer manager, so basically a layer is essentially what all your items are going to be inside. Um, so I'm not gonna uh, explain every single thing here because I commented it. But essentially, the layers are separated by the shape type being, let's see, so it's separated by either the points, the lines, the triangles, or the quads. So those are primitive shape types. Um, Now that's because the vertex number and basically how it's counted via the index buffer will be different depending on what the primitive shape is. So I decided to do it that way. The asset grouping ID um, basically is like initially when I was implementing free type, the asset grouping ID was for, um, let me just go to it actually. So the asset grouping ID was essentially for bringing in multiple files and identifying them with a number so that we could pass them in based off the number of texture slots. And so when trying to do it this way, I actually got a nasty like performance issue because when making multiple hard drive calls uh, per render, that's not the best way to do it. Um, so what wound up happening is I decided in the future I would implement a system if I decide to do that. That would basically just put all the users' textures into one file while saving all the aspect ratio metadata and just using 32 of those to basically batch together tons of textures based off how frequently they're being used in uh, someone's program. So that's how I would do it. So basically, where was I? So it's separated by the shape type as well as the asset grouping ID. And then there is fixed status. So this is basically what is being used here to render the frame rate. So this is after everything else gets rendered because the layers get sorted by their is fixed status here. So that um, these things always get rendered afterwards. So if you want to have like um, text information or like a menu screen or something that gets rendered after everything else, this is basically how that will work. Um, so you just pass in the is fixed and not any item you decide to create. So and obviously now I'm putting the items on the heap where they should belong instead of the stack. If you notice that as well, because I had a Stack Overflow issue when implementing this. Um, so that I had to basically change a few things around. Um, yep, you can go on GitHub and basically just look through each file if you want to, and just to understand like how things work. I try to comment it in a way to where I kind of explain like how they're connected instead of just what each thing does, but like kind of going through the whole process. Let me see what else. So I guess now I'll show you the example um, that I was able to make for this. Let's take this off right now. And so basically, this is the max grid area algorithm. And you can see it gives you 12. Wait, let me actually slow that down first while I'm talking. Uh, yeah, so let's implement that. Okay. So basically, this was the algorithm that I was making a video for. If you went to the algorithm folder, you saw it's the first one. And I was basically having trouble debugging this when I couldn't really tell what was going on, which was kind of the reason why I wanted to make this. So I could actually, I mean, this was one of the first reasons why I wanted to make this engine, so I could do things like this. And I just think this is pretty cool. Um, so basically, this is the algorithm that you just kind of go through by brute force and kind of discover what the area is. You can see that I didn't create it perfectly, but this is just something to show you how it would work. So you can see it going through and checking each one here. Um, so what I plan on doing next, now that I have 2D shape primitives implemented, I kind of want to do obviously 3D with different 3D models, and then I also wanted to do stuff directly to the frame, directly to the buffer, so I could get like pixel by pixel and kind of render things, for instance, like Bezier curves and stuff like that. Um, so that's what I plan on implementing next. But that's basically where I'm at so far with it. Uh, it took a while before making this video simply because I was trying to go down a certain direction with free type as well as just trying to learn more about OpenGL and how to batch things together to kind of increase the performance. And then I would kind of like find little things here and there, such as if I go to, let's see, core texture. So when binding these textures, I had to kind of figure out why certain things were being set to certain slots. And that was because of like certain issues with how I was kind of setting them and managing them. And so I kind of had to debug that for a while, as well as the let's see, render, let's see, texture set. Yeah, there it is. And so I had to implement this asset system that I showed you a few minutes ago for the different files and deactivating those based off the layers asset grouping. Um, and then I had to implement uh, this uniform correctly. When I was doing it each frame, it wasn't working quite right. It was only rendering the latest texture that was loaded. So there's a few things I had to debug, and then I would just add and add and add things. And so I just wanted to have at least one like actual example of implementing text rendering and everything to kind of get it in a state that's like ready enough for someone that wants to render a 2D game or even a desktop application. I mean, it's essentially can support that. Um, User input isn't added yet, but essentially the actual graphics portion of it is essentially ready to go to implement desktop GUI if you wanted to do that as well. Currently, it's not cross-platform, so currently it's only for laptops and desktops, obviously, so just essentially computers. It's not cross-platform for mobile or anything like that. I'm not sure if I plan on doing that in the future. I probably will. I'm not sure yet, but that's just kind of where things are at. So this is just a quick video going through it a little bit. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section. And until next time.